We are now joined by Joel Griffith, an economist with the Heritage Foundation. Joel, welcome. So the White House is engaged in full court press to take political ownership of the economy, while polling shows most voters are unsatisfied. Joel, if the economy is strong come 2024, do you think that gamble could eventually pay off?
No, this gamble will not pay off, and that's because the so-called Inflation Reduction Act actually results in even more deficit spending. The core components of this include an extension of Obamacare subsidies, hundreds of billions of dollars of Green New Deal subsidies for wind turbines, solar panels, electric vehicles, and batteries. It actually includes a big tax hike on businesses via a tax buyback program, and not to mention tens of billions of dollars for tens of thousands of new audits that will target small business owners. This is the last thing that our already weak economy needed. And if you look back for the last 2 years, families have seen about a $6,000 a year real pay cut because of inflation. And this bill that Biden is celebrating will only make things worse.
Joel, inflation has managed to tick down as a result of the Federal Reserve's continued interest rate hikes. What do you think is next when it comes to interest rates?
Well, inflation is still running at close to 4% annually year over year. That's about double what we've experienced long term. So the year over year price hikes are not as large as they were, say, a year ago, but we're still running at about double the long term average. And the Federal Reserve, let's remember, the Federal Reserve is to blame for this. The Federal Reserve worked hand in hand with politicians from both political parties the last few years to fund this massive explosion in government spending. And now they're trying their best to mitigate the damage. But they caused this problem. It's time to reform the Federal Reserve, stop their ability to print limitless amounts of money. And Republicans and Democrats in Congress need to get together and actually stop this spending spree. President Trump and Congress under him started this explosion in spending. President Biden has made it even worse. It's a disaster long term,
Joel,
and we're actually feeling the impacts of it right now.
Joel, what do you recommend as far as ways to reform the Federal Reserve? You just mentioned that both parties are responsible. You talked about stop spending or printing money. What else can be done, and is there the willpower to actually bring reform to the Federal Reserve?
Well, sure. Well, let's look at what the Federal Reserve has done the last several years. It's not just that they printed money to buy up government bonds, which then are unleashed into the marketplace, driving up prices. The Federal Reserve also printed up several $1 trillion to buy mortgage-backed securities. And that inflated home prices. It's a big part of the reason why housing affordability right now, it's never been worse. It takes almost one half of a typical person's paycheck just to afford the mortgage on a standard house. That's about double the burden of what we've known to be historically true. The Federal Reserve, in large part, is responsible for that. And also, now it appears the Fed has the power to buy up even corporate debt, which you end up running zombie companies as money flows to firms that really should not have access to that capital.
Joel, we have just run out of time. I apologize for getting you cranked up. Joel Griffith with the Heritage Foundation, thank you so much for your time and your insights.
Thanks for having me.